Hello, kindred spirits. Welcome to the Magical Mystical Divinations Podcast. I'm your host, Southern Mystic Tama P, creator of mysticdivinations.com. That's mystic with a K, by the way. I invite you into my sacred space in East Tennessee, where I will share with you topics on inner magic, mystical insight, navigating spirituality, and most importantly, how to use divination to enhance and improve your daily life. Grab your favorite drink and hang out with me for a spell for lighthearted insight, tips and tidbits, a lot of wisdom as we connect on a higher level beneath our beautiful Mother Moon. Hello, kindred spirits. Thank you for joining me. I'm sitting here with my best friend and co-creator of Mystic Divinations, Debbie. Say hi, Debbie.
Good afternoon, everybody.
So one of the things I wanted to bring up, since this is spooky season, and as we approach Halloween, the veil gets thinner between the spirit world and our real world. And one of the reasons Debbie and I met is that she contacted me because of some stuff going on in her home, probably more than a decade ago. And it all related to an experience she had while playing with an Ouija board. And a lot of people use that board to contact spirits. So maybe if you want to just tell a little bit about when you contacted me, what was happening at your house.
Okay, well, basically, my youngest daughter, of course, we had pictures on the hallway of family members, and she would be talking to them like she was introducing who each person was.
And how old was she at the time?
Oh my gosh, she was
in
kindergarten.
Right.
She was in kindergarten. And I would just sit and watch her as it's like she was introducing, telling someone who this person was, who that person was. And also, she started having issues with her closet area. And she would tell me she was seeing a lady stand over by the closet. There's people over there. And she got very afraid to sleep in her room by herself. So a lot of the times she would start out there, but then she would end up in my bed because she was afraid of whatever was over by her closet. And I kept hearing stuff.
Did you hear this stuff before you played with the Ouija board?
No, I've had things happen to me, back even when I was younger, but not here at this place and not with my daughter.
Right.
Recognizing these things. So basically, things increased tremendously after playing with that Ouija board. And I just want to say, too, that with messing with the Ouija board, I didn't believe in it. I didn't believe it at all. I thought it was just your basic hocus pocus stuff, and
just a game, just a board game.
I mean, yeah. So I never took it.
You didn't take it seriously. No. So you and a friend, were you trying to reach someone in particular, or were you just having fun?
We were just having fun with it, to the degree of we're just messing around with it. Of course, I didn't believe it, so I started doing the thing, and of course, a lot of me's thinking, well, she's making it move because I know I wasn't making it move. And we just didn't. I mean, I didn't believe in it.
Well, let me just interface just for a moment. And I looked up, how the Ouija board is supposed to work. And the planchette is guided by unconscious muscular exertions, and it gives the illusion that the object is moving under its own control. But it's enough that a lot of people are convinced that the spirits are truly at work. But usually someone's subconsciously or consciously guiding the planchette. However, in my own experience and your experience, it can definitely move and be guided by something other than us.
Yes, absolutely.
Because what happened, so you guys were just playing with it, and when did it start to feel like something was there?
It started cursing. I think that was the biggest thing, was it started saying, F you. And so to me, it was just like, I don't think that she would be doing it, but we also decided to put up a recording and kind of record ourselves as we were talking. And you got to remember, this was the cassette tape recording.
Right,
so it was back then cassette tapes. So you'd have to stop it, reverse it, play it back in order to hear it.
Right. And I remember when I met you, you allowed me to hear it. And for a while, when I had the website Paranormal Spectrum, which is now defunct, we had that little audio clip attached to that so that people could hear it. And I definitely heard a distinct voice that was not either of yours. It was not female.
No, it was a very deep, raspy, I don't want to say like a nasty voice. There was no, it was very nasty. There was no kindness to it at all, but you couldn't hear it until it was played back. And that's when I knew we had something more. And of course, not believing in it, I was pretty much saying, oh, I think I even said, like, you're stupid and this isn't even real. I was basically defacing it.
Right.
And,
which probably angered it.
Right. Because on the recording, I played it back, and I'm probably not supposed to curse on here.
Oh, we can say a few things.
It came back, because when we replayed, I'm like, okay, let's stop, let's replay it. Because I think I called it, I can't remember, I said, you're an idiot or something. And we played it back, and right as soon as I finished that sentence, it called me a bitch.
And it had been spelling out bitch, too, at the time.
Sorry, yes,
no,
F-U.
That's okay, that's okay.
Cousin,
we're mostly adults listening to this, I'm sure.
But it did, and it drug it out. It was like, bitch. I mean, it was
a masculine voice when I heard it, when she allowed me to hear it, when I finally met her. And it gave you goosebumps. It really did. But after that is when things increased in the house with, we're going to call it paranormal activity, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, because there was stuff happening. There was even, if I remember correctly, my name a couple times. There was also the overall atmosphere after that one evening changed. And it may be because of actually hearing that, but the overall atmosphere changed. It was like you could feel a presence. You could feel somebody around you. You could see, you started seeing dark figures. And it didn't feel right. I mean, it felt a lot more eerie. It was hard to go down to the basement.
I remember that. So when I met Debbie, we met out in public, of course, because I didn't know her from anyone. She told me her story. We arranged a date to go out to meet her and her family and get a sense of what the house felt like. And before you even walked down the steps in this basement, which was a finished basement, you felt like there was something repelling you, like you're not supposed to go down there. I also distinctly remember meeting her daughter, who was in kindergarten, and her daughter, when she was showing us around her room, because we just wanted to get a feel for it, went to her closet and literally started speaking to something in her closet. And when we asked her to repeat it, she goes, I'm not talking to you. And that is when I realized, okay, there is definitely something here. So we need to go out. We had some friends at the time who came out with us. And let's put it to you this way. What was in that house caused those two people to never do ghost hunting again. That's all I can say. One of them was a deacon, and he did prayer. He did prayers throughout the house.
He did prayers throughout the house,
and I think he had some holy water or oil. I can't remember, but that's their story. I won't tell it. Let's just say they never ghost hunted again. But Debbie and I became friends, or that's when we actually formed a legitimate paranormal group. But let me just caution you: if you've played with Ouija boards or you're considering playing with a Ouija board. Yes, it's just a board game, but it does open a portal or a pathway or something, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a gateway. And I'll say this much is, I know a lot of people play with them. A lot of people think, and I did the same thing. It's just a stupid game. This doesn't work. You see it on movies and stuff all the time. I'm telling you right now, from my experience, if you're going to mess with it, you need to research it. I did not believe in it. I didn't believe that could do that kind of stuff. It like Tam says, anytime you do stuff like that, whether you want to call it a gateway, a portal, it can reach out to things that are not good. And my advice is do the research on it. Do a prayer before. Do, have some things there to keep you grounded, keep you safe. Close it
You gotta
properly.
close it properly.
You have to close it because
That's the whole thing.
I never closed it.
That's right. And I think that's what happens in a lot of instances is people will start speaking with spirits or trying to communicate with spirits. They don't open it properly and they don't close it properly. And we don't know what's around us at the time that we're doing that. The same as she and I sitting here right now. We don't know what's in the area. The house I live in is not haunted, but it could be that there's a passerby spirit just passing through and it sees this opportunity. And some people and some things just attract spirits. And not all spirits are good.
No, absolutely not. No, and like I said, I'm sure there's people that have stories out there that have maybe messed with one. But because of this, because of the naiveness and the not believing in it, and there were some things, I even taunted it back. Okay, big mistake. I even taunted. Don't taunt these spirits. I know you see some of the paranormal groups out there that do that kind of stuff. I'm just telling you what I recommend, what I've been through. Obviously, do what you want to do, but I'm telling you, the provoking of it is going to set you up and make it worse.
And I think the energy, that one of the reasons that people start taunting is there is that negative energy. We already have a possible negative entity. And its presence exudes the negativity. And it feeds off here in our human world. Don't recognize it, but we feel that agitation and we start to taunt the spirits, which is really bad because then they are empowered by our energy and things can just get out of control.
It does.
And one of the things we're going to touch on, as much as Deb will allow me to, is after she did that and after we investigated her house multiple times and did recordings, we captured evidence that there were things in her home. And we realized eventually that it was a little above what we could handle. And we even brought help in, someone who had the ability to send things into the light to get rid of things. And well, this thing, whatever it was, I don't want to say haunted, but it.
I guess in a better terms, and this is something that is difficult for me to discuss, but I want to do this. I want people to be aware.
Just do as comfortable as you're. Just be comfortable.
The fact with messing with this, and it wasn't just a one-time thing. The first time it was real bad, but I do know from that last instance of opening whatever you open that there is something that is very dark that has attached itself to me.
And remind you, please, people, this has been more than a decade ago. I've known her a decade. And
this is a long time ago. And people have tried.
People have tried to get rid of this. She's not possessed. That's not
No. What I'm talking about when I say, and here's the thing, you don't have to become possessed and, like you see in the movies and all that kind of stuff. I have a dark entity that has attached itself to me. Now, this entity does come out from time to time. For the most part, and I guess for lack of a better term, I'm able to kind of somewhat control it to a certain degree, but everything changes about me, my demeanor, and I hate to say it, even my eyes seem to get... I can see
it in her eyes when it happens.
And she could see it, but it is a darker entity that is attached. And
goes with her.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not present all the time or very often, but it can be triggered. And this is one of the things that led us to trying to be more positive and to wear our stones and ground ourselves and work on ourselves. Yeah. And because we have seen what can happen, and you have to be 4 steps ahead of this thing. And you have to be mindful and aware and cognitive of what's going on within yourself. And you have to learn what works for you to keep it at bay.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's taken, and like you said, it's been a daggum decade. But I have learned how to control that feeling. And it's not a good feeling. It really is not a good feeling. And it's not one that, I would want anybody else to go through because it has been a challenge. It has been very difficult. There's times, even talking right now is very, And I know Tam's looking at me because she could tell.
I'm watching. We're
it's-
holding stones, people.
Yeah, and I've got a stone in my hand.
We're wearing them. I've got stuff in the background.
Yeah, there's stuff all over this house, so it's just a point where it doesn't affect anybody else but me.
But when it does affect her, it's almost like, I don't know where this thing rests, but it's almost like it senses an opportunity to come forward, and then there's aggression and hostility, and that's the best way to describe it. And we've talked with people who are far more knowledgeable than us, and they say it has attached itself to her, but it doesn't have the power to overcome her.
Oh no.
It doesn't have the power to make her do something she's not willing to do, but it can make her agitated.
It can make me more hostile and more.
Yes.
I mean, it's not something you want to. If I'm in that state, not to push at that point.
Right.
I mean, and for the most part, I'm able to.
Well, let me also say that Deb and I have special Claire skills. One of hers is clairsentient. She feels things. She's an empath. She feels things. So naturally, when she's in certain environments, she's more sensitive, and I think that opens up the opportunity for this thing to
attach and feed.
Yeah, feed.
Yeah,
It is a really good word. I think it feeds off of that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of them do. That's what they take your energy. They're feeding off of you. So if I'm in a negative, it just gives it that much more energy to go with.
And if you're a person who's not very strong, or if you're a person that has certain dependencies or certain mental conditions even, it makes you more likely to have something attach itself to you. And it makes it more likely that you may not be able to control it. And so that's why we wanted to talk about this today, because a lot of people start playing with Ouija boards, especially during Halloween, during this
Oh yeah,
month.
because you think it's fun. I mean, I think it was all
it's
we
a
did
game. Yeah, it's a game, and it's supposed to be innocent, and it's supposed to be for children, and I don't think a child should ever own one. That's my personal opinion.
No. No, and a matter of fact, when to get rid of it, we had the person come. If you remember, they came and did the whole binding.
Yes.
And this was a person that knew how to bind and wrap and do this kind of stuff. So I mean, these weren't just us doing it. This was people that we had reached out to that knew, that were experienced on how to handle this. Unfortunately, I've yet to meet someone who can take this, and I call it just the dark part of me, that dark part away. And we have tried.
And it's a very intelligent thing, because people are convinced they got rid of it, and it can be absent for a while and then
Right back.
right back. Our site is called Mystic Divinations. Obviously, we like to do divination. And one of the things that is different from a Ouija board versus working with pendulums and things like that is Ouija boards are used with a group of people, so you have all that different energy, you have all that different intention, because intention is very powerful. So you don't know what the group around you, their intentions are, or what their weaknesses are, or their negativities. So there's that influence. But with pendulums, it's used by a solitary person. And also, most people know with a pendulum, or dowsing rods. We've used dowsing rods.
Yep, dowsing rods.
For some reason, people will say prayers before that and after that far quicker than when they're working with a Ouija board. And I really think that also is part of the issue, is people do not open or close that, like I said, gateway.
Yeah,
they just
and
don't.
I think what we've learned over the years, and this is why at least we're wanting to get this out there, is we've learned over the years, we've made the mistakes along the way, but that's one thing, is do your research. And we do it no matter any of the paranormal researching places we've gone to, stuff that we've done for people. We have a prayer beforehand. We have certain crystals with us. It's also your mindset, and it's also what your 100% intentions, what your intentions are. So, but we do the same thing when we are done, whether it's an investigative place or even doing our own divination. Your tarot cards, your oracle cards, your pendulums. You just want to make sure that you are also announcing somewhere in there at the beginning that you only want those with good intentions, good spirits, good communications. Anything of negative or evil
It's not welcome.
It's not welcome.
It's not
you
welcome.
don't want it there. And I think over the years that we did that, as far as, we didn't have any issues as long as we were hold fast to that protection. You're basically giving yourself, and you're telling that space, that area for that protection, that you don't want anything else there. And that's our thing is the curiosity, life after death. You know, there are spirits. We believe it. You know, there's
Well,
things
we've
you
had
want to
so
research.
many experiences. I mean, we've had so many experiences. It's hard for us to say no. There's nothing beyond
Right.
this world, this dimension that we're living in. We could talk about this every month and never finish with the experiences we've had independently and together. And that's what drove us to create, years ago, she and I created Mystic Notions on Facebook. That's how it started. Life has been challenging for Debbie and I in many, many ways. We've gone through divorces and moves, and we just don't even want to go into any of that. But it sets you back and it changes you, and you can't work on the things you want to work on. So it just sat idle for a while. And then when we decided we wanted to open it back up, we renamed it to Mystic Divinations because we both love tarot. We both love oracle. We both love the act of divination, and that's working with our spirit guides. Debbie works with deities, working with
Your ancestors.
It's one of my absolute favorite things, and the change in us is profound. That is the difference. We are not the same person we were when we started this. We know a lot more. We know how to protect ourselves and sort of how to navigate life better. I think.
Yeah,
don't
no,
you?
100%.
And manifestation, she and I, we're definitely going to do a podcast together on manifestation.
Yeah.
Because we have manifested where we're at today.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love her to death. She's like my sister. We are kindred spirits, without a doubt. And I think I've known her in another lifetime. We could go into that discussion.
We could go into, there's so many discussions
That's
we
what
could
I mean.
actually get on.
We have content, people. We have content.
There's so much.
It's just finding that time.
And we'll get together and we'll present those and put them out there. It's just like I said.
But we both realize when the timing is right, the universe will give us this opportunity. You have to seize those moments. You can't sit back and expect it to fall in your lap. And that's what our website's about. It's encouragement. It's empowerment.
Yeah, and it's actually helping to hopefully help others to keep on track and stay in tune. And the more you learn, the more that you can hopefully take away from this and other podcasts that Tammy's already put out there and future ones that we are going to do, and take from it and use it and learn and grow like we have.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole purpose of Mystic Divinations. Do you have anything else you want to speak on about the experience with the Ouija board, or any warnings or anything to add to what we've said?
No, I think just make sure that you research, to pray beforehand, what to say, even if it's something you can't figure out on your own, what you want to ask, what you don't want. You have to tell what you don't want.
And maybe research about the area that you're in when you're doing it, because you don't know what happened there before you lived there, visited there, or whatever.
No.
And any time there's been something very traumatic or tragic happen, or there's going to be some residual energy there that once you ignite that, it's almost like gasoline on a fire.
Yeah.
So know what you're doing. I caution you against it, but at the same time, I've done it, and I don't own a Ouija board, but I own just about everything else that you could use.
Yeah, exactly. I do have to say on my behalf, even knowing what I know today and knowing there's a proper way to, for anything, working with any divination tool, there is a right way and a wrong way. I'll tell
Absolutely.
you. I tell you that from experience.
Yes.
But I myself will not dabble with a Ouija board again. And with good reason for me. I'm not saying that's everybody else, but for me, even though I know prayer and all that stuff to do, it's just something I can't, because of what I've been through.
And I can't imagine what that would do with this
Dark entity.
The dark entity, the dark, whatever it is.
It could pull something else.
There is absolutely no way. And this many years later, I mean, this thing, we're not talking about, this was a moment where, because she used the Ouija board with her friends several times. But it wasn't a moment, it wasn't a week, it wasn't a month. We're talking years, people, years. And that's how serious this can be.
Yeah, it can. And that's the only thing I can do is caution you. You know, everybody has their own, they make their own decisions. It's not one. If I could go back, I wouldn't have messed with the Ouija board, period.
Yeah.
It's just I think it's just too big. It's too big of a tool, and I think it opens up way more.
Look at it. Over the years, people have amplified any power that it could possibly have by using it and using it incorrectly.
Oh, gosh.
So it has become a very powerful tool. That's all I can say.
Be mindful of those powerful tools, because it can come back and will bite you in the butt. And
living proof.
Yeah.
We'll close this out by saying, the veil is getting thinner. We're just 8 or 9 days away from Halloween, which is the Samhain is right there on the cusp of that. And if you do want to reach out to your departed loved ones, I just did an episode and released it the other day, contacting your ancestors or communicating with them. Do it properly, and don't make it a parlor game. This is not a game. You're dealing with life, but you're also dealing with afterlife. Don't F with it. Don't F around, okay?
Yeah. Be mindful of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Always be mindful and have as good intentions as you can. But I've enjoyed this. I hope you've enjoyed it. And thank you so much, Debbie, for coming here today.
Tammy Hunt, thank you for having me. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. And actually talking about this and sharing it so at least people can have more knowledge from other people.
Well, happy Halloween, everyone. This has been a Mystic Divinations podcast. I am your host, Tama P. Be sure to visit Mystic Divinations on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and X. That's Mystic with a K, by the way. Blessed be.